let's give you a binomial expansion question. So when you expand this, the coefficient of x to the power 5 is this number here, and your job is to work out this n, find n. So we don't understand what's going on. So let's try to guess, just to understand what's going on. We would just randomly guess this thing here. Let's say n is 2. So let's see what happens. So we would guess n. So when you expand this, when you square this, it will be 1, 2, 1. So that would be this thing squared, and then the next coefficient would be 2. That's this thing here, and then this would be 3x squared. And then you times this thing here, minus 4x, and then the last coefficient is 1, so it will be plus 1 of this thing squared. So I'm expecting you to be able to expand this, and we are interested in x to the power 5. Well, if you look at this thing here would then give you something x to the power 4. This thing here will give you something x to the power 3. This thing here will give you x squared. So there is no x to the power 5. So it turns out that this will be useless. We want to try this just so that we can get an understanding of what's going on, because you can't reach x to the power 5. So n equals 2 is useless. Let's try n equals 3. So let's try n equals 3. So n equals 3 would be this. Remember, it's 1, 3, 3, 1. So when you expand this, it will be 1, this thing to the power 3. 3, hang on, to the power 3. The next coefficient is 3. And then it would be this thing, 3x squared. And then you've got this thing to the power of 1. And then the next coefficient would be 3 again, plus 3, and then this thing times this thing here, and then it would be this thing squared. So that would be minus 4x squared, and then the last one would be this thing to the power of 3. So it would be negative 4x to the power 3. So when you clean this up, this would be x to the power of 6, something x to the power of 6. This would be something x to the power of 5. Because look, x squared would be to the power of 4, and then you've got to times this thing here. This thing here would be something, you got squared here, something to the power of 4. This thing here would be something to the power of 3. We don't care about this because we're interested in x to the power of 5. So we need to investigate this block here, because this is to the power of 5. This is useless. So let's investigate x to the power of 5. We need to look at this thing here. So when you multiply this out, 3 squared would be 9, times 3 would be 27, and then you've got a negative 4 there, times negative 4. If you jump to a calculator, it won't give you this number. So we know that 3, where n equals 3, won't be the answer. So now let's try x to the power 4. So we want to investigate what's going on. So x to the power 4 would be, multiply this out, x to the power 4 would be 14641. So that would be this thing to the power of 4, 3x squared to the power of 4. First coefficient is 4, and then this thing 3x squared to the power of 3 times this thing here, negative 4x, and then the next coefficient would be 6. That would be 6 bracket 3x squared to the power of 2, and then this thing squared. I'm expecting you to be able to multiply this out, and then plus, hang on, let me take it down here, and then that would be plus, the next coefficient would be 4, and then this thing, 3x squared, and then minus 4x to the power of 3, and then plus this thing, minus 4x x to the power of 4. Okay, we are interested in x to the power of 5. Let's look at this one. This would be something to the power of 8. We're not interested in that. This thing here would be x squared to the power of 3, 6, 7. This is x to the something x to the power of 7. We are not interested in that. This thing here would be x to the power of 4, and then another 2 here. 4. That would be something to the power of 6. We need x to the power of 5. So that this here would be useless. Now let's look at this one here. This one here would be x squared, and then you got x to the power of 3. That will give you x to the something x to the power of 5. You can see that here. So we need to investigate this. So we know that when you simplify this, it would be something to the power of 5. So we just need to check that the coefficient equals this. Well, if you jump to a calculator, I know there's a negative there, but if you jump to a calculator and just get 4 times 3 times 4 times 4 times 4 3 times, because that's to the power of 3, it will indeed give you 7, 6, 8, but don't forget there's a negative. So you know that n must be a 4, because if you were to clean this up, the coefficient of x to the power of 5 will indeed be that number there. So the answer is x to the n is 4. That's your answer, okay?